I'm wondering what men took this survey, what ethnicity of men, and I want to be real careful, and we're going to just open this up. I want to be real careful because I'm not suggesting that. I'm not going with that old trope. Black men just got more swag than these white boys. Welcome back to another wonderful episode. I'm Adam Butler, that's Paul Spann.
Black Man Spann in the building.
Yeah, you tuned into
the MSR Pod Virtual Edition.
Virtual edition, man. He gonna keep saying it. He gonna keep letting you know that we here virtual, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Smooth was in. Yes, sir. Brother Smooth was in the building. What's happening?
What's going on, family? How's everybody doing?
Cooling, man. We got a lot to get into today. I hope you all had a beautiful weekend. I don't know if you watched the Golden Globes. Hope you had enjoyed the Golden Globes. We'll be talking about that in another episode. But just real quick, I did want to say something about that real fast before we get into our topic. Just real quick, like real. We don't got it. We just fast as I can. The Golden Globes had its first ever podcast category, which was both dope and disappointing. Okay, dope. Because it's podcasting. We've been podcasting forever. People that's new to this show, you know, if you knew, you know, you need to know that we've been podcasting since 2006 collectively. Like that's how long the show been.
Before it was called podcasting.
Before it was called podcasting. Radio. Yeah, it was internet radio. We've been podcasting with Smooth since like 2014. All right, so that. even that was the beginning of the actual podcast boom. Okay, so always happy to see podcasts get his love. I don't expect anything different from an entity like the Golden Globes, but it's like all celebrity like Amy Poehler won Podcast of the Year. It was like Amy Poehler versus like, you know,
but you know, it's new. They got to work it out. It's
new, and I get it, and it speaks to where the industry is. We can have a longer conversation about this if we want in another podcast. I always love talking about podcasting, but I just had to bring it up because it was kind of weird to me. My wife, you know, we watched it together. She was like, "That's dope," isn't it? And I was like,
dope-ish.
But shout outs to Jenna Wise.
Thought you want to play with my frog, Danita?
Paid. A little bit of hate, you know what I mean? But I'm about to get some love. Shout outs to Jenna Wise for BuzzFeed alum. She is the producer of I think it's called Good Talk with Amy Poehler. Didn't even know that until I saw her say something on Facebook. So actually know someone over at the Amy Poehler podcast. So I guess there's some love for her. Shouts out to Jenna Wise, man. Keep doing your thing. All right.
Good business.
Let's get to the stuff before we get to the topic. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram, MSR Tribe. Follow us on Facebook, Mindstream Radio. Follow us on TikTok, the MSR Pod. Remember, subscribe to the show, rate and review. Okay, rate and review the show. Do that if you're watching us on YouTube. If you listen to us on podcast, remember to rate and review, all of that. But also subscribe on all podcasting platforms. And of course, for our YouTube people, I forgot to mention, hit that notification bell and subscribe to the channel. All right.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all are dope. The numbers are going up, so it's real dope. All right, here we go. Let's get to our first topic of the day. So this is a topic that we've been discussing in our group chat for a while, trying to figure out behind the scenes. Always funny, y'all. Maybe let you know what we're laughing about. But trying to figure out how we were going to talk about this and whether or not to talk about whatever. It seemed kind of interesting. We thought this would be a good week to kind of discuss it since it's an all-fella show. And it's about manhood and it's about the loneliness epidemic and all of the things. We've touched on this stuff before, but this one I thought was interesting. I'm going to run a clip real fast.
5% of men 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person?
Never asked a woman out in person. And what they're up against, think about it. Our economy literally rests on 10 companies now, often referred to as the Magnificent 10. And they do several things, but quite frankly, they're in the business of enragement, polarization, and then sequestering young people from all other activities.
And that's only getting worse given where AI is going. I mean, with like, agents and chatbots who are, sexually clad anime type figures chatting with young men.
So that's Scott Galloway. And just to repeat what he said, He said 45% of men 18 to 25 have never approached a woman. Now, I cut the clip off because I didn't want you to have to watch a 5-minute clip, but you probably noticed he started to get into like tech companies and AI. He took it there. And that's why we were trying to figure out like how to talk about this, because there's so many layers to this cake. Okay. But I want to start with the most basic piece, the thing that is the most, the tagline. 45% of men 18 to 25, according to some research, have said they have never approached a woman. I want to start off real quick and then throw it to y'all. I don't know if I believe this. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not even saying it's close to impossible, right? I'm willing to admit that it's more possible than not. I'm wondering what men took this survey, what ethnicity of men took this survey, all right? And I want to be real careful, and we're going to just open this up. We're just going to talk. I want to be real careful because I'm not suggesting that. I'm not going with that old trope. Black men just got more swag than these white boys. I don't know what you're talking about there. I think that I know that there is a loneliness epidemic. I know that there is a communication epidemic. I know that there is a feeling amongst many men of emptiness, not feeling a part. We talk about it in the political sense. Now we're talking about it in a social sense, right? And we definitely understand that the internet is much larger than it was when we were coming up. You know what I'm saying? And more people are enthralled in it and trapped in it. And that the internet is a lot and people kind of live in it. I just think I'm worried about these numbers and where he was going with it, Paul, because he's speaking about like a national tragedy of men not participating in society, feeling lonely, and we know where that goes, and this turns into men joining militia groups, joining, getting indoctrinated, right? Bro culture, all of this stuff, red pill shit, all the stuff we talk about, right? But sometimes I think these studies are very focused on white guys, frankly, and I think male loneliness may look different for Black people and Black young men. I don't think it looks like Sniper on the Roof or, 4chan guy or Proud Boy. I don't think it looks like that. And I think that sometimes when these people get on television and they're talking, that again, they're leaving out a large clump of American society that's feeling just as lonely and dread and despair. You know what I'm saying, Pete?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When I not only looked at the one thing that we were looking at with Mr. Galloway, and God bless him and all his research, because he does all sorts of stuff in the financial specter and all sorts of things.
And marketing.
But the first thing that I felt was, I was like, man, this isn't really speaking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I fully understand, and I can get with some of the concepts, but a lot of the things that he was talking about was really focused on what he is. You know what I'm saying? And is a like a white male. You know what I mean? And he's even a white male that came here from somewhere else.
Yeah,
well, you know what I'm saying?
I understand
so like
what you're saying. Yeah.
It was, like while I could understand the concepts of the things that he was talking about, it didn't, like, there's certain things didn't reach out to me. Now,
right.
I know that like you were saying, the way certain things for us aren't exactly the same like that. Like I don't know, who they use for these case studies. You know what I'm saying? Because even when from the inception of the internet and all those things, when people were on there and we began to chat and speak with girls and all that, we still had an element of sociability to us. And maybe not everyone, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not everyone, but there were still elements of sociability there. So like I was just a little taken aback off of whom exactly this research and whom exactly he was talking about, because it wasn't exactly resonating to me.
Yeah, go ahead, Smooth. What's your thoughts on that?
So if he may have been talking about Black people, how do you think that would resonate with you? Say, for example,
Yeah.
that statistic was all black.
Across the board. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. What do you surmise? Like, what is the thought process now hearing that?
That's a great question. It's a great question. It's actually where I want to go
Yeah,
next.
it is.
Yeah, I'll go first, Pete, and then you can jump in there. That's a great question, because my natural next question will be, if this is true, even if it's true about white men, why is it important? Right? Why is it important? Because on the surface, it sounds like some Neanderthal shit, frankly. Like, men ain't talking to these girls, the fuck, like, and then someone could probably even make a positive spin on it. Like, okay, dudes are focusing on other things, and they'll get to, women in relationships a little later. There's a great argument that, you don't necessarily want your boys to grow up too quick. You don't want 13-year-old boys, having sex and babies and all that. We could have that discussion, but I'll speak for him for a moment and say why I've heard him say it's important. Okay, because he feels like men are not participating in society at the rate that women are. And because of that, it raises depression. He makes the argument that men need certain things. And I'm going to give him the credit of going deeper into his own argument. He's not saying that, men just need to have sex, because if you ain't having sex, you ain't no man. He's basically saying that men need to be fulfilled in certain ways, that men do better when they're in relationships, when they work, when they're participant in society. They feel better, they operate better. When they are not, when there's arrested development there, then there's problems. Then you get high suicide rates. Then you get violence towards women, right? Let's stick with that piece for a second, y'all, because I think that is important. This is why I wonder if it looks a little different for ethnicities as opposed to white men. I don't know, by the way. I have no academic study on this. This is just a conversation, y'all. Like, I want to be very clear about that. I'm not coming with stats that counter his. I haven't done any research on this. I only know what my eyes see, right? And I see problematic young black men, and many great young black men. Let me be real. But when I see problematic young black men, I see them out in the streets. I see him out. And I ain't talking about just goony goon thug dude. I mean, not that stereotype. I'm just talking about like, yeah, I know a few guys that it's like, damn, bro, you haven't quite gotten there yet. But for the most part, it's they out and about. And they have their own issues with women and their own issues with society. I'd be curious as to why. I think we could come up with some reasons as black men who were once young black boys. But to answer your question, because I want Pete to jump in there, I think he thinks it's important for the reasons I stated. Active members of society, procreation, and he's in feeling good about yourself. I don't know where he includes men that are on the LGBTQ plus I don't know where
a lot of the talk was
it's just
strictly men to women.
It's just straight men and dealing with women. And if it is, one last piece, Pete, really quick, just to that piece, it could mean it could be larger than just sexual attraction and just being able to interact with women, whether you're gay, straight, whatever. Can you coexist with women who are getting educated at a higher clip, employed at a higher clip, and all of the things we've said on the show about women and how they deal with their mental health and communicate and this, that, and another. That's what I think. Pete, and then Clarence, you jump in there.
Yeah, I think that all those caveats thrown, that obviously loneliness can breed a host of horrible things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be it whatever color you may be. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, like, as much as we continually progress in certain things, there's an undertone of things that both men and women have of the ideology of men, as far as toughness goes, as far as being able to handle certain things. And then like, and even the thought process of your mental health and wellness doesn't know. Like I said, we're championing certain things nowadays, but like the underlying factors is still what it is, the same way that patriarchy is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like when I think about that and think about the fact that I don't know if and even some of the things that he was discussing, because he was definitely talking about things on the industrial and business factor too, to whereas certain things are directed to steer you toward loneliness because it's more profitable.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
To make it real clear, he made a point that AI companies and tech companies benefit from people being inside, and that men are being impacted by this by more than women. And he spoke to the danger of that from an economic standpoint, from a social standpoint, and so on. That just to clear what P is saying. Yes, go ahead. Paul.
Yeah. So I fully understand and can completely see that. And like I said, taking race and all those things from it, I can see the dangers that propose from that, right?
Yeah.
When you have, like I said, you have that fit, because any man that's worth anything, you want to be about something. Like you don't want to be unfulfilled. You don't want to feel like you're not contributing to anything. So when you do have that feeling, and then you already, like, that's where immersing yourself into, and I wouldn't, well, sometimes it could be fictitious worlds. It could be certain things that release those certain parts of the endorphins in your brain that you haven't developed from the personal interactions. Like you get your I guess your dopamine fill, your all those things from the screen that you're looking at. And like like Adam was alluding to, what he was talking about, they have certain things, like they have avatars, lifelike, that are sexual based and or non-sexual based. Avatars, you have life like this, synthetic that. Whereas like you can skip both the social anxiety, you can skip elements of rejection and all that, trying to go over here and just talk to this girl in real life, and knowing that she could possibly say no, she could call me a weirdo, like all those things, where I can be locked in, and this avatar or whatever this thing that I'm looking at is going to do each and everything that I want done. So that part of my brain is already filled, and I haven't even experienced that other part.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I said, and that it was a great question, Clarence, because like taking that part away, I can clearly see the avenue that he's taking on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that, when we talk about like the sample that he, maybe spoke to, or not even him, but the study that he's referencing.
Yeah.
Was it a college campus? Was it in the Midwest?
Right.
Was it in, California?
Well,
West Coast?
I found, so it's apparently it's a study published on oh God, I just had it on data psychology. A study published on data psychology. So this is, and I'm going to read more about it as we talk, but just to find out more about the study. But I mean to cut you off, brother. Please go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say that, I'm interested to see who the sample group was. I know that that's a wide range. Of course, we did talk about the demographics with that, but I'm also interested in that percentage when we bring up the LGBTQ
plus
community. I'm trying to be, get all out.
You had the business, you did good.
Thank you, brother.
You did good, boy.
But I wonder how many of those people may have also been, not necessarily identifying as straight,
right?
Or because I feel like maybe during that time there's a lot of convolution about, experimenting time and understanding people, and people understand themselves. So that is a big number.
Yeah. Two things real quick. I found an article on it. It says the entire data set, 29% of men said they never approached a woman in person before. 27% said it had been more than a year. This was larger for men in the 18 to 25 group. 45% had said they had never approached a woman in person, according to the study. A majority of single males surveyed in the report fear as the main reason they don't state fear as the main reason they don't approach women or dates in person. Fear of rejection, fear of social consequences. That's an interesting one. Where the two most common responses. Social consequences is a really interesting one. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that in a moment. Speaking of the Golden Globes,
I think we know. But go ahead.
no, we know what they mean, and I want to talk about that because
Yeah.
this ties into that. So, speaking of the Golden Globes, a show that I loved, a miniseries on Netflix called Adolescence. It was a UK show, had stars Stephen Graham. For y'all that don't know who Stephen Graham is by name, if you watch Boardwalk Empire, it's the short guy that played Al Capone. Okay,
Al Capone, yep.
yeah, he played a father of a young boy who ended up killing a girl at his school because essentially he liked her and she had made fun of him. Okay, and the whole point of it is that he had been indoctrinated by all of the stuff online, all of the podcasts, all the broadcasts and red pill stuff we talk about this show. We anti-red pill. I say it all the time.
No, he was too young for that.
Yeah, I think. Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
Absolutely, no debate there. No debate at all. Absolutely. I think this stuff festers even longer. I think that a grown man can even. And
I agree.
To that consequence part, it's interesting to me that there's a bunch of men that essentially feel like I'm afraid to talk to a woman because I don't know what she's going to accuse me of. Okay. You don't get that from women. You get that from what you hear and what you see. Okay. Not to say that a bad thing can't happen. Misunderstandings don't happen. You know, obviously two human beings can misunderstand each other and that could happen. Okay. But to walk around in fear of it, especially when you have any experience with it, right, is a hell of an accusation. To me, there's no different than saying I don't talk to black people because black people rob and kill and I'm worried about that. Right. It's a major stereotype. That means you coming from, you're approaching women in your mind from a whole nother really dark place. You believe that they're deceptive and evil and they are willing to trip you up. You don't even want to talk to them because you're so concerned about them doing something to you. And then it also means you don't quite trust yourself. You don't quite trust yourself because, again, if you're concerned about repercussions, you won't even talk to them because you're concerned about repercussions. Again, it just makes me wonder where your information about women comes from, right?
But I can see that. I can see that in this age group, though. Think about what we're talking about in 18 to 25. Like, think about in their lifetime the movements that have happened. The Me Too movement is in their lifetime.
Yeah.
The even the more politically correct atmosphere is their lifetime. Like I'm gonna be for real, bro. I'm about to turn 48 years old. I remember when I worked at Jerry Seafood back in the day, and I remember, I mean, obviously growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, and some of the things, like obviously we learn and we grow as we grow as both people and we grow as society. But I know like some of the jokes that we did. I know some of the, like I think about it now. Think about like, man, if the technology and phones and all those things were the same when I was in junior high school and all that, it would be nuts. You understand what I'm saying? Like it would be nuts. And like, you know, I mean, think about some of the things that we've experienced in high school. Y'all know the choo-choo culture.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Like, but here's the thing. When you go outside, when you touch grass,
right,
things haven't really. So, okay, the nefarious stuff, the movement was necessary. Okay.
Yes.
Movement was necessary. I know you're saying that. And I know you're saying that. I'm just trying to take I'm just trying to evolve this conversation so we can, because I understand what you're getting at. I agree with you 100%. They grew up, Gen Zers grew up and saw a lot of stuff. They're more sensitive. They're more. I was with my sister is a Gen Zer, and we were watching the halftime for my wife out there. She probably gonna laugh at me bringing this up because I brought up to her like 30 times because it annoyed me. Right? We were watching the Snoop Dogg halftime at the on the Christmas Day games on Netflix, right? And Snoop brought out all these random people we didn't even know who the hell most of them was, right? And it was clearly like a Korean group out there. This is Netflix. Their biggest movie of the year was K-pop Demon Hunter. One of the biggest soundtracks of the year is K-pop Demon Hunter. In my mind, is not weird that the K-pop people would be performing at the Netflix halftime show, especially if it's some Korean people.
Business.
I don't know. Okay. So, but we didn't know. So we kept saying, all of us older, we kept saying, is that the K-pop people? And she was like, you guys only saying that because they look Asian. And it's like, so it was like a call out of like, y'all are being racist. And we were all like, I love you, Zoe. We were all like annoyed because it's like, we're not being, we can make an assumption.
Don't know.
You know what I'm saying? But,
Right.
so they are different and they're
Based
young.
off of context clues.
Yes, just based on context clues. I just gave like 30 of them, and I'm probably right about it. Okay, but either way, that to the point. Yes, Gen Zers are different. Their scope are different, and we have to remember that they're very, very, very young. And I remember when millennials were the most annoying age group, right? Because we were young and idealistic and all this. All right, let me not rap too much. Basically, what I'm saying here is that all of that's true. But if you aren't touching grass, all you have is assumptions, right?
Right.
The other half of it is I won't go outside because I'm afraid of this. Then you don't really know that when you go outside, when you actually talk to people and talk to women, the world ain't really that different. Human interaction with each other, entertainment is different. What's going on, what an entertainer could get caught up on and not get caught up on is very different. What we tolerate is different. How we've evolved in understanding what is a crime, what isn't, what is wrong, what is right, has certainly evolved. But conversation amongst people still crack crude jokes. People still laugh at crude jokes. We just did the whole Dave Chappelle show 2 episodes ago, and I was in a stadium full of people, young and old, laughing at Dave Chappelle, laughing at Cassie. Okay, so the world is still the world, but you have to have world experience, and if you're
to go with
right, so that's what I say. I agree with you 100%. But if you're blocking yourself from that world experience, you just gave a great explanation as to why they would do it, and I'm glad you did that. But the answer has to be, how do we stop it? Because the show Adolescence, as I mentioned, he killed the girl because he was caught up in the bro culture, and he had a natural anger towards women. If you watch The Pit, great show. Me and my wife just binged it this weekend. Smooth came over and saw us watching The Pit.
I was like, a new show.
Yeah, there was a storyline about a young man who had wrote like a hit list of girls, and they were so afraid that they, called the police on him. It turns out he didn't do this, but he was your typical black hoodie, long haired, stereotypical dark white. You know what I mean? So I realized that, as I talk to y'all, Smooth, I realized that this is a larger conversation and there's more conversations to be had. I'm curious. I think it's just, I think with the question I need to answer for myself, and you tell me what you think, is was the study worth it? And is it important? I think I initially came into it wondering if it wasn't, and if it was only talking to a small sector. But if the majority of the country, which is white people, and the men in it, the boys in it, are growing up to be angry and potentially dangerous, then it is an important study. I don't know if the study's true, but on its face, I think it is an important study because we have to live with these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, even if it's not 100% our story.
Right. Go ahead, Smooth.
I think that it may be too early to assume, or not assume, but like kind of bring that together, because we're still kind of analyzing what's happening, because this generation of this internet generation is just now starting to come into. So I think, it could be a completely another like destination. It could be, those people are the most logical, or whatever the case may be. There could be some other type of direction that these young men could be going in. I think on the flip side, it is a dangerous piece. I do think there's a lot of society things that are happening that are changing. Power dynamics, being able to be humiliated at a drop of a dime. And not even, it doesn't necessarily just have to be a man and woman thing. It can just be anything, this generation has nothing but screens in front of their face their entire lives. So I think it's in good spirit to say go touch grass, but I think that you even have to understand that concept before you even get to the grass. Right.
I agree with you.
And I think that that's where we kind of come in to
Yes.
and I know we can't just all save the world, but just hey,
Right.
listen, try to expose yourself here. Go outside of the city limits, or go outside the county limits, or go and access, go play ball at the free.
Go interact.
Fitness
Go
center.
interact.
Yeah.
And sometimes
that's,
you have to be shown. You have to be shown what good feels like, and what good is what good is.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, P.
And I think that also encompasses us focusing in on emotional intelligence. And I mean focusing in on it young. And even taking it further than just the social cues. Well, even in all those things, because low emotional intelligence begets violence, begets all those things.
But
You
I
know
think
what I'm saying?
to that point, I think the identification of emotional intelligence is changing from when we were younger, right? Just in how
Right.
one related to ourselves. But again, there's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff going on that's affecting people. And
Right.
I think that right now, I don't know where the bar is when we talk about emotional intelligence.
Well, what I mean by it is, like, for someone my age who has both been through long before screens were the most dominant thing, all the way up into living into the part where screens are dominant. Like, so it for those people to speak to, like Adam said, to let you know, hey, look, I know it seems kind of crazy, but step outside with me a little bit. You can like to I think it is our responsibility to help bring elements of that balance. Obviously, we're going to do it in our own personal lives with our children. And for me, I have grandkids, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to definitely, like, that. It is something that I have to think about. You understand what I'm saying? And moving forward. So, like, there are things like I think, like, obviously there isn't a compass for emotional fortitude across the whole gambit. But for those that we do have experience in knowing both grass and screens. So we have to help push that.
Right.
Yeah. All of that is so true. I was thinking, and you too, Smooth. You're a few years younger than me. It's funny because we all a few years, like, you're a few years younger than me. I'm a few years younger than Paul, right? And those years do matter, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that more than Paul, who is a Gen Xer, we're millennials, right?
Right.
And we come from that first generation, that Oregon Trail generation. Like, we were the first generation of kids to have a screen put in front of our face. I was thinking, like, man, I've had a screen in front of my face. Excuse me. I've had a screen in front of my face pretty much since I graduated high school. Like, as Paul was talking, I was thinking, man, I was on Black Planet in 2000. Then I was on AOL Instant and even just those things. What I didn't have was this all day, right? Until a certain point. But even with that, even with the idea of, like, going in the house and logging on to AOL and chatting with people, random ass people I never even seen before, who knows what the kind of trouble you can get yourself into. I could tell some stories, right? On Black Planet, meeting, like, going on that joint and be like, wow, like, I'm 17 years old and I can meet any woman I want, theoretically, like women I would never meet. And even just in your small little state, like, you meeting, if you live in, if for all the Maryland people, if you live in Temple Hills, you can end up talking to somebody way out in law that you probably wouldn't have met at 17 years old, right? And so you're getting yourself into more trouble. And even just with that, our lives change dramatically. People got themselves in more trouble. People got themselves in bigger, bigger pickles, bigger hiccups, like, just like all sorts of just like new calamity that our parents did not understand, right? Yeah, I said bigger pickles.
No, yo, Paul is sick.
I said it, damn it.
That's right.
Paul is sick.
Yo,
That's
but
hilarious.
no, but no, you get yourself just like new.
You'll double down on it.
I got you. I had no choice. When you in it, you gotta you just gotta own it, right? Bigger glizzies. But no, by the way, y'all, we got a no pause rule on this show. That's why no one has said it yet. That's why
we just look at each other.
Yeah, we just snicker.
Make eye contact.
because that's better, right? But no, seriously.
100% better.
Yeah,
Right.
but nah, and then laugh at it for 10 minutes. No, but but we don't say pause. No, it introduced new trouble.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
when I say like during the Black Planet MySpace days, I was definitely like just like meeting like random girls. You know what I mean? You know, setting
That makes
stuff
us the risk
up.
takers.
It's just risk, yeah. And so, you know, it is quadrupled in this era. Okay, quadrupled. And you know, I think what we can do as adults, as parents, right? Especially me and Smooth. You was a grandparent as well, but especially me and Smooth, the parent of young children.
Yeah.
Okay, is not be so weirded out by them. I think like even the way the story was presented to Anderson Cooper in the clip, you know, Anderson's reaction, by no fault of his own, he's like a 60-year-old man, was what? They don't talk to girls. And that throws you off. It's like, you know, the only first thing you think is like, these just a bunch of lames. Let me go and let me pull a little boosie, you know what I'm saying? And make you talk, you know what I mean? Which is something that's been going on forever. And we've learned, because we've evolved, that's the worst thing you could do to a young man. That's why I say, like, I think in our community, the issue may be a bit more nuanced, and I'd be very curious to talk to somebody that studied it. I do think that male loneliness and male anger goes across the board, because the world is the world. But I think it may manifest and come from different places in our community because of some of the hangups that we have in our community that, you know, Jill and Scott that's raising little Tommy may not have in their household. Okay, it doesn't make it better. Doesn't mean it's better.
It's just different.
It's just different. Okay,
but how different? How different do you think those things are? Like, I mean, like not playing a tit for tat thing, but
I understand.
You know, the traumas in each of the community that may not necessarily be, and I know we're not trivializing anything, but the traumas may be similar,
right?
Just in how the makeup of it, how it looks.
I think the results. I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm saying like you know, being children of people, parents who have mental illnesses, right, or may have an addiction issue, or they may be having a parent that's disabled, right? And having to, you know, be more of an adult before you really even had to, you got to take on all this responsibility. And, you know, that may happen in the hood as well as, you know, in Wisconsin, but how it manifests, you know, just may look a little different. The violence may look a little different. The, you know, the outward energy, you know, in terms of getting in trouble and stuff. So I definitely see that, but I wonder how different really the communities are aside from like the traumas, right? Like trauma for trauma.
Yeah. I think the result could definitely be the same. You don't really, you know, I don't want to do the thing I hate, which is speak about Black people like we're a monolith.
Right, of course.
Right.
I think it's true that you don't hear about a lot of like young Black school shooters and stuff like that. And school shootings, I will say, in the Black community look a lot different than school shootings. Like we've had school shootings. They just don't get categorized as school shootings. We definitely had a family light up a school and it may not because I hate my mom, I hate my dad necessarily, or out loud is not that, but it's usually I beefed and again, even that happens in certain sectors of the community. So again, I do not want to speak to us like every Black community is a hood.
Right, of course.
Every Black child
not in the least bit.
Parent that got X, Y, and Z. It's not that. You got suburban Black kids that probably have a lot of issues that may resemble the suburban white kid, right? And that's why I say I'd be curious to dig deeper into it, because let's face it, we are a Black show. Mostly Black people watch and listen to our show. We want to impact Black people. So if we're going to talk about these things, we want to be nutritious. We want to give them the proper tools. You know what I mean? But the answer is I don't know if it's much different. You know what I mean? If you got a kid, because again, not every white boy is a school shooter. Not every white boy is a mass murderer.
Exactly.
Some of them hurt themselves. Some of them live a very hurtful life. Some of them hurt their partner. Some of them hurt their parents. Some of them hurt
themselves,
their
yeah.
friends and this,
Yeah.
and like I said, themselves. Same goes for Black kids, same goes for Latin kids, so same goes for Asian kids. Every community has their own hang up. So I don't know how different it is. I just know that depression is more noticeable these days, especially amongst our young people. And we have definitely talked about on this show how it has impacted us in every way. It's impacted the vote and how now our world looks a certain way because it's been studied and investigated till the cows came home that a lot of young men resonate with a certain type of person. And that they watch things that tell them, and it's not like Andrew Schultz necessarily, but it's like Andrew Tate. It's like women ain't shit, and you shouldn't even trust them. You know what I mean? It's oh, I forgot the little. I'm not going to start naming all these people, but either way,
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's a dangerous thing. I'm going to read the rest of this thing really quickly, or just 2 more paragraphs from this thing, and then you guys can have the final words on this. It says 55.1% of men and 40.7% of women say that they have felt profound and enduring states of unhappiness and uneasiness and disconnect about their singlehood, and at some point in their lives, according to a 2023 poll conducted by psychologist Andrew Thomas. This is a quote. "It's hard to put a price tag on it, if you will, on the amount of human suffering that people are experiencing right now," Surgeon Dr. Vivek Murthy told All Things Considered podcast on NPR. "The epidemic of social connection is a current priority of our U.S. Surgeon General. However, more research is needed to Smooth's point, to better understand the problem," says Thomas. "More research on pathways away from dysphoric singlehood might provide a route to improve relationship prospects and mental health in growing population of singles." So this is interesting. Again, on the surface, it's just like some dating shit, but it is interesting because it speaks to a larger problem, and it's like a tree that just sprouts out and has many branches that touches a lot of issues. Man, it creates a lot of problems. So interesting stuff.
It is because and I know we always talk about him because he's just in the news all the time. But President Trump, excuse me, let me say President Trump, but
45, 47.
45, 47.
Donald Trump.
Yeah. But what I think it's more of like the conservative space, whereas they want to start being more focused on family, and they want to kind of cultivate this cultural revolution to bringing people back together, not necessarily just for procreation, but for family and those values.
Christian nationalist. Christian nationalism.
Well, yes, but also
when you're talking about what they want. Okay, just to be clear. But go ahead, please continue. I don't want to.
You know what? I wonder if it's not as much Christian as it is much as more like the institution of family that they're now starting to push. I think
their thought process comes from Christian nationalism. The idea of family is not a bad thing, but why they want it, I just have to clarify when we talk about, when we get in political, what the politics and what they want is from a Christian nationalist platform. But the idea of family and building strong families is certainly not a bad thing or isolated.
Okay. I will concede that point because I think that if you're having this public campaign, byproduct, other people other than whites are going to potentially be subject to this campaign. Right. And so it's not like it's some secret thing. It's not like, let's go under the bridge and make this deal. Let's do it publicly. So I would think that they would want that in general.
Yeah.
I also am, that's also not as cynical, but that's neither here or there. I just wonder what this does for us maintaining a new status quo.
Yeah, but Paul, I said that was my last word, so I'll leave that one. You go.
No. So, well, I think this in particular is just like a fluid conversation, in the fact that, like you already alluded to, Smooth, like we won't know. Obviously, we're not going to know the outcome of anything, but we won't know like how to gain more factual traction in this conversation until later on in the future. You know what I'm saying? So but I think that the part where we still like even take from whatever we can take from the research and know that this can be problematic, and knowing that however we can help in that, even while we're still learning about things and watching this stuff happen in the future, is something that is definitely a responsibility for us, because we don't want to have overtly angry young men. We don't want to, and whatever that looks like, whatever that look like, per being black, being white. We don't want to have it in general, and however it manifests itself throughout whatever social structure that person finds themselves in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well said, man. Well said. Let us know what you think about this in the comments below. It's a fluid conversation, as Paul said. We're gonna definitely talk about this much more on the podcast.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Now we on to the silly. Couple of other quick segments before we go. Now we on to the silly, man. Let's get to the silly.
Oh man.
All right. Yo, Druski. Shouts out to Druski. By the way, shouts out to DMV. Is he DMV or is he more Beamer? I know he kind of lived out way out close to Baltimore County. I don't know, but we going. You know what? Right. We're including Smooth today, and we including Druski. You know what I'm saying?
Go. Honorary,
Maryland, you know
honorary
DMV. Honorary. I think he. I know he's from Maryland, but either way,
I want to say it was like it's either Montgomery County or Howard County. I think it's one of those two.
Maybe so. Yeah. So that's Gizmo County. Didn't he DMV, man? Yeah. But either way, you know how we like to claim people. You know what I mean? But we still claim Allen Iverson and shit. This
y'all like to claim some people.
You know what I'm saying? But
you right on that, Smooth. You right on that.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah. True. Druski is a brilliant comedian, bro.
I agree.
Druski, on the surface, is all silly. I'm not saying, no, I ain't gonna shortchange the man. The man, he has a unique talent for creating sketches that tap into things that are so real. Okay. The man did a one on hat fishing. If you don't know what hat fishing is, it means niggas is going all like me. Right. Once you get to a certain point, once I get to a certain point, I'm about 2 weeks away from it. Okay. You're going to turn to George Jefferson. Okay.
I'll send you over to Pakistan. Or wherever they get done.
It's Turkey. Okay. It's Turkey, bro. Not Pakistan, Turkey.
Turkey. Okay. I know the brothers have done it, but listen.
Yeah.
The junk turns into George Jefferson. And if I ain't had a cut, the best thing I could do is throw on a hat. Okay.
You already know.
So, but the hat fishing thing was so good that people actually got mad about it. Okay? He had one when the dude was riding when the dude was riding the hog with the loud music. You know, everybody know the dude be riding around. Okay, so this dude is kind of brilliant. I mean, you know, when it comes to
he has a great take on satire
and a great take on people. He understands people and he's observant. Okay. And again, he just deep on like a Druski sketch is funny, but he's getting to that point, right?
And he's consistent.
Yes.
So Druski put out a sketch recently, a couple days ago, that was focused on megachurches, black megachurches. Okay. Let's run a quick clip of it.
Stand up here, Wanda, please. Wanda told us earlier this month that she could not have a baby anymore. So I impregnated her with the word of God. I'm going to impregnate everyone with the word of God. You gonna get pregnant with the word of God. You gonna get pregnant with the word of God. You gonna get pregnant with the word of God. Impregnate. I had somebody in the congregation ask why I'm wearing Christian Dior and Christian Louboutins. Because I'm a Christian and I walk in the blood of Jesus.
All right. That shit is funny as a mother.
That's hilarious.
The
hooks,
whatever you call that contraption, the
trapeze, the arm trapeze. Yeah.
The moment I saw that sketch yesterday, I saw the preacher that did it. Years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And even now that it's been, out for a while, people have spotted that the outfit he got on is the same as
It's the exact same outfit.
Yeah. The whole unlocking the doors, we all know where that one came from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why we're talking about this, other than just to talk about how funny it is for 10, 15, 20 minutes, we're not gonna just do that. It's because church folk are mad, bro.
Huh.
Church folk are very upset about this. Some. It's always some. Obviously, we're not talking about every. I've definitely seen enough people that I know personally that are very much into the church. Pastors I know definitely come out and go, y'all, I mean, hit dogs holler, like, you know what I mean? I get it. But there are church folk that are mad about this. And it's been a debate online. Okay? It's been a debate online. Fellas, what is your reaction to church folk being upset about a Druski sketch? Go ahead, Pete.
First off, to double reiterate, that joint is hilarious.
He double reiterated. Yeah, I love it.
Like absolutely hilarious. And here's the thing. If like you were talking about, if you understand observer comedy, if you understand anything about the element of satire where you're making fun of to bring a point, to shed light on what is a problem. That the parts of the megachurch, like no one is making fun of God. We're making fun of the absurdity of certain parts of the church.
Right.
Literally, and pointing to where certain things are problematic. Like we've seen, and maybe it's been going on forever, you know what I'm saying? But we've seen as of late such an insurgence of money focus. Like straight up money, and in truth, it's very dangerous. Like it's dangerous when we have people that will blindly do things. You have older people that are barely getting by themselves, that are barely getting by, that feel that, and you have people that are. It's easy to twist God's word. It's easy to use certain things at your vantage point. You understand what I'm saying? So like I if anyone is getting upset about it, maybe you attend one of the churches that he's making fun of.
Smooth, go ahead, and then I want to actually read a couple of what's the name of this new? Yeah, a couple. I've tried to find the
for me,
threads
I think
is what I was looking for. A couple of threads I want to read. Go
threads.
for it.
For me, I separate the individual or personality from the church.
Yeah,
because I think that if that personality left and that congregation stayed and a more meek or moderate leader came in, in all the other antics, the body probably will still be there. So I separate, and then also we live in a very personality-based everything. Your face and your personality just gets you money, and so it's like sometimes like, well, why not be the some people may argue, why not be the sacrificial lamb? So I separate those two things. But I also want to say that I think that a church doesn't have to be flashy to also scam people.
Oh no, not at all.
You know what I mean? So like, I can see how maybe a lot of these things are being convoluted, where it's like it's assumption that because certain things are happening, that that institution becomes less credible because of a few, occurrences or a few flamboyant, leaders. And I think, things can get mischaracterized very quickly, especially on the internet. And if you have to feel like you have to defend the church, that could be a difficult place to be because everything is online. Like even, church folk probably haven't learned how to navigate this online space yet. Like, how do I maintain who I am and what I believe in and not wrestle in the mud online? I think it's a new environment for everybody. But then also to a degree, like you said earlier, hit dogs holler.
Yeah.
So, if it hits, then it hits. But I do think that there may be some legitimate pushback to how critical we are about the church in general in society. And I think
what?
No, go ahead, bro.
Go finish. So what's your take on it? Do you think that the skit is problematic?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I don't think at all. I don't think it's problematic. I'm just speaking to people's potential frustration about it.
Okay.
And how I think that I think there may be a larger conversation about how the church, especially the Black church, at one time has been like the cornerstone of the Black community. And there's so many things that are changing. And so now it kind of looks like the church is also changing that position and losing its impact. And so I wonder if people are kind of sensitive to that as well in terms of needing to protect or defend the honor of the church.
Okay, let me read a thread I found from Taylor Michelle Bell. I just had to unfollow Druski on Instagram. Poking fun at megachurches is common, but the video he produced did not sit right with my spirit. And I know for sure he would not create the same content towards other religions. Too far and too much. She responds, for those curious, we are in pretty serious times. I understand comedy. I was the only Black girl on the improv team in my high school. LOL. I could take a joke. This seemed like more than comedy, and I'm not telling anyone else to take on my views, nor am I protecting any particular scandalous leader. It just did not sit right with my spirit. So one thing and it's a bunch of these. I can find more. There's a bunch of people that is that have responded this way. Like this is an actual thing online that people are having a debate, and I think Smooth does hit on something, and I think she hit on something that I'm not saying I agree with. Okay. But it's interesting, and it's the point that he would not do this towards other religions. And we were having a conversation earlier, and Christian nationalism came up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christian nationalism, amongst decent actors, right? Not the people at the top that are quite literally using religion as a tool for power. Okay. People that are members of the flock feel attacked. They feel like Christianity is under attack. And when you hear someone say, I don't agree with this, y'all, I'm just explaining what I've learned from other people. When you hear someone say you wouldn't do that to other religions, the first thing I say is, it's bullshit. Other religions get made fun of all of the time. They get persecuted. Jewish people have been persecuted. Jewish people... Muslim people, I don't think I have to say. Real quick, let me finish starting and then you please jump in, okay? Just real fast. I want to flesh this thought out, okay? But amongst Black people, the Black church is such a pillar in our community that sometimes it gets made fun of more than the Muslim mosque, okay? It's just true because Black church, it's so entrenched. Even people that are Muslim or members of other Christian denominations that may not attend, like Black Baptist Church, right? Myself, I grew up Catholic, okay? But I knew about the Black church. I'd been in the Black church so many times because the Black church and the Black community means more than just going to a place to go pray. It was a place that led voting drives. It was a place that, our leaders, our most famous leaders, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like these people were they were pastors and political and civil rights leaders, right? So it's so entrenched that it is a thing in our community that sometimes it's easy to get made fun of because of a point that Smooth made earlier, because of how much it's changed for the most part on the face, how different it looks than the church that Dr. King probably led in Georgia, right? That there's a difference between that church and Creflo Dollar's church because Creflo Dollar exists, because people like this exist. I don't know the young dude that Druski was kind of making fun of and the young boy, that always has like the sketches at his church and all that. This is why people like Pastor Keith Battle, right? Why people enjoy Keith Battle's church, because you're going to go there and they're going to have teen night and all this and that, but it feels authentic. And this is why people are in search for authentic churches, and the people that cannot find authentic churches don't go to church for these reasons. And that's why it's important to make fun of these things.
See, so I did grow up in the Black church of all sorts of varying from Pentecostal to Baptist to all sorts of things. I've seen to AME to everything. I've seen it all in my growing up. And per both of you guys' point, this is why this sketch is important, and this is why even watching the evolution and understand something, he did have a focus on what is called today the mega church.
Right.
It's like it was literally case specific. It wasn't. And I'm not saying that it is an embodiment of churches overall, and even to your point, Smooth, to whereas, you know, certain self-same things could be going on in smaller churches, but there is a newer looking directive. Because I can't speak to the fact that maybe it's always been this way, but there is a newer looking directive currently, and as someone who has been definitely involved in Black church, I do think that it's a good thing. I think that thought processes and elevation, because maybe the necessity of certain things, and not to take anything away from the Black church and how important it is, and how important it's been to the civil rights movement, how important it's been to America in general. But like there is an element of learning that comes with everything. And if we can learn more and be better all the way across the board, even with our religious practices, and learning that there's an element of spirituality to this thing, there's an element of certain things, to whereas your eyes won't be just completely blinded to both a building or to a man. Like, 'cause there's elements of spirituality that simply exist within us, and it can broadcast, and there's so many other things that there are. So I think that, I personally think, at being someone that's come from that element of Black church, I think that it is important to have these conversations, and to never lose our ability to think whatever it is that we need to think.
I don't know, man. I think it's just funny shit. And I
No,
think that,
it's 100%.
and I think
Yeah.
I think that the mega church is a very niche thing that's in America. I think we can't really make. I don't think there's an opportunity to make fun of other religions, because they seem a little bit more sacred. We don't really know, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there are, you know, Black Muslims that may feel like there's a conflict with the Arab Muslims, and when they pray, and how they don't feel like it's one. So that's not really something you can really poke at. I mean, maybe inside their own community they can probably do that, but from the outside looking in, we can't really do that. You know what I mean? And then you think about, was it Charlie Hesba? Remember that newspaper that got that put that Muslim, they put the image of Muhammad, and then
Got death threats.
Was it he? No, somebody got killed.
Or, yeah.
So, but then also in the Gazette, I think it was the Gazette, the Annapolis Gazette, something happened as well. Well, I don't know if that was really, but I think that, you know what I mean, in terms of like the American, that's the Christian church is the most open to our eyes, versus, you know, other religions. And so I think that, you know, I understand the validity of the frustration, right?
Yeah.
But I do also think that maybe we should just chuckle, like, those people who are upset, just kind of chuckle about it. It's kind of
like
a
hit dog holler. And I just want to tell the story real fast, because I agree with you, bro. And again, it's a bit touchy to like discuss, and I think you handled it perfectly, to discuss how other people that are members of other religions feel. If our dear sister were here, she would be able to give us some insight on that, right? But she's not here, so I can't say, you know, what it's like in the mosque, or in temple, or you know, any other religion out there. Yeah, I don't know. Right. Yeah. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know I've seen them get made fun of in very malicious ways, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, I want to tell a story real fast.
But not real fast. Outside the metro stations, when they be having them stands,
them
Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, they're not Jehovah's Witnesses, bro. Those are the original Israelites.
No.
That's Israelites, boy.
No, I mean that's gallery place. I'm talking about, like, even when you go to like any of these spots, they'll be right outside.
Yeah.
With the stands.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, listen,
people have been making fun of Jehovah's Witnesses forever.
For years. Yeah.
Well, I watched, man, anyway. So years ago, if people that in DC know that T.D. Jakes, and I forgot the churches, I guess it's First Baptist, one of the bigger churches here, host a New Year revival in DC, or really in PG County, but DC every year. And the big closer is always T.D. Jakes. Okay, it's a big Christian revival, bro. It's the blackest black church. It's gospel singer, celebrity gospel singer here, celebrity gospel singer there, popular pastor from this church in DC or the DMV, popular pastor from that. Everybody gets a spot to shine, and the closing act is TD Jakes. Okay, he just did it a few weeks ago. Every year for probably about 20 years now.
I never heard of this.
The revival, yeah. Over there close to the church over there by the by FedEx or Northwest. I forgot the name of that church, and I think it's First Baptist Glenarden that is
Glenarden, yeah.
service, but I'm not sure. I don't want to be wrong about that. Okay, just know that a big church hosts TD Jakes every year. One year I went with some friends, and it was fun, I'm not a churchy guy, but good music is good music. A good performance is a good performance. The gospel bands is, doing their thing. Gospel music, I love gospel music actually. You know what I'm saying? And it's I worked at the gospel station at Radio 1 for years. I love gospel music, right? And it's different. That's a different animal too. There's a whole other conversation. Yeah. But anyway, great time. TD Jakes gets up there to speak. And I'm sitting and listening to him. He actually gave a really good message. It was a message about how young and old people need to communicate, how we need to not ostracize each other, how like the young need to listen to the old and the old need to listen to the young. It was a very good message. Not very much of a super Christian-y message in my mind, but it was a good speech message. Yeah. Right? And I was into it and I was listening to it. And one of the friends I was with, mom was there, okay? And the mother looked at me. I saw her look at me a couple of times doing the thing, because when TD Jakes would do his preacher thing, and then, when I'm going to, people would jump up, and you know how they is at church, right? And I wouldn't. I was just listening to him. Afterwards, she was like, "Did you have a good time?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a good time." I thought what he said was very insightful. Because it didn't look like you had a good time, because you weren't really like cheering or anything like that. And to me, that stood out, because there were people there that did not hear. I'm not talking about her. There were people that were there that didn't hear a word TD Jakes said. They just heard voice inflection. They might as well have been at a Kendrick concert or a Drake concert or a Lil Baby concert. Real shit. Okay. They might as well have been Lil Baby performing in Japan. Or remember, you see those videos of the Wu-Tang Clan when they go to Japan, and they're like, "Yo, they rocking to our music," and they don't even understand what I'm saying, because they just rocking to the inflection, METHOD, man. That's all they hear. They don't know what they're hearing. And a lot of people I found, they're not going for the word. They're going for a feeling. And if you could capture that feeling, and there are very smart, genius level pastors out there that know that. And that's what Druski was making fun of. Right. The funniest one was when he brought up the old lady and said, "Yeah, she can't have trouble getting pregnant."
Pregnant, yeah.
Yeah. I'm impregnated with the word.
The word of God.
You the word, yeah.
Okay, that again, I appreciate this young lady on Threads. And she brought up an interesting point that gave us some little bit of conversation and debate. But at the end of the day, every institution has their problems, okay? I love Barack Obama. Okay? I'm happy and blessed to have lived to see and vote for Barack Obama. I mean that. I don't give a fuck. None of these niggas that want to be anti-Obama, I wish Obama were president right now. Oh, yeah. I watched Obama stand up in front of a church in front of grieving people, give his speech, and then think about it and go, "I should sing Amazing Grace," and start singing Amazing Grace, and everyone got up. It was beautiful, but it was also the speech he gave really didn't. It was Amazing Grace. I know Obama understands sometimes I just got to inflect my voice a little bit and this, that, and another, and people going to be in the palm of my hands because I'm Barack Obama and I'm charismatic. Okay, so everybody has their flaws. Everybody has their thing. The church ain't no different. Some pastors are cool. Some pastors are great. Okay, I love Zion. I've told Paul this. Sometimes I think Zion talk about dating too much. I ain't been to Zion Church in a very long time, but when I see it, sometimes I'm like, why is it always about like dating and relationships? I don't look at Pastor Keith Battle and go, "You ain't shit." I just think he found something to talk about that people are responding to. Or maybe it's important to him. It doesn't matter. Either way, If your pastor driving a Maserati wearing red bottoms and flying in on a cable cord like Beyonce and locking the doors until he get $2,000 online and in the church, he talking about your pastor. And we talking about your pastor, by the way. The world laughing at your pastor. And we're laughing at you. There's 1,000 churches you can go to. And it's a man that's being made fun of, not God.
Yep.
Druski never once made fun of God.
Let me
a
ask
man in red bottoms. Go ahead, Spoon.
Let me ask you a question. Politics and religion are very close together. They're very close knit. What?
Super ball face.
Super.
Ball face.
I think that, you know, I honestly, I view those pastors of megachurches, I view them as CEOs. And I don't necessarily see them as like pastors. I mean, they are. It's kind of like the really high profile.
That's their title, pastor.
Yeah, no, but there may be like understudies or under people that actually work more with the people. But this character helps bring this church money. So now we are able to fund different things. Now we're able to build this portfolio of real estate. Now, if we really want to, now we can say we own things because there's tax, not I won't say loopholes, but there's you know, churches don't have to pay for taxes, or they're nonprofits.
Tax exempt.
Tax exempt.
Tax exempt.
So now, if you can play the American game while maintaining this religious institution, you now start to get ahead of the game. You now can start to invest later on. And so I think of them as like,
for whose benefit though?
For the people's benefit.
Like,
so
I'll
like
say
for,
this.
I was gonna say like for, I mean, building churches that may have schools connected to them. There may be where they can be a hub for, you know, IT or STEM or any of those type of things. I understand that some people may be very cynical of these things, but I think that in America, I think a lot of people have realized that if you have power, you have money, influence, why not go ahead and do what they may say, what God may want them to do, and do different things, maybe, or investing the institution into the already established fabric of America and benefit off of it. There's nothing wrong with that.
With the element of transparency, and I'll tell you this. Pastor Bob and
yo, out of his shit.
Like, Pastor Bob, it's like
answer this shit. Go ahead, Paul.
No. I want to say this. Pastor Bob at Woodstream Church. It's a larger church, right? But he's a very very humble pastor. Normally wears khakis and regular polos to church and drives some form of Toyota. Every element of money that's given to that church by anyone that's given there, there's tracking on it. Like you have literal paperwork given to you where your money went, exactly what it's for. Like I hear what you're like. Even when you said that part about a CEO, yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's part of the problem. Like it's part of the problem. Like the first. I'll just say this. Years ago, my parents had a friend, and this friend approached my mother and father, and this is the first thing that he said. He didn't say, you know, you guys interested in helping the community, or you guys in it. The first thing he said was, you guys want to make some money? I'm about to open a church. First thing he said to him. You know what I'm saying? And proceeded to do so. And my point is this, like I said, from being, you know, from growing up in a black church, right, and seeing all sorts of things, and something that Adam alluded to, whereas we're not like taking focuses off of person and celebrity, and when we're throwing in God and certain messages as far as, you know, as far as kindness, as far as all sorts of things go, when you're operating out of God's name and you're operating as a CEO or like what differentiation is that than everything else that's out here in the world?
But church is a business.
Okay. If your pastor is locking you in the church until everyone gives up a certain amount of money to reach this $2,000 goal. That's manipulation. If your pastor operates in manipulation, then that is a corrupt church.
Man, it's problematic.
If there's nothing wrong. I understand what you're saying, and I, as a side note, that is a talent, Smooth. I gotta give it to you, bro. You have a talent to ask the question, bro. I give it to you, bro. You good at it. You're good at it. You're good at it, dog. You the man, bro. I gotta give you that. Mama roll with you. Obviously, that's why in all seriousness.
Was that wrong? What I did wrong?
I'm just saying you talented. Everybody at home know what the fuck I'm talking about. They know. We did this episode 22, and they know by now. But in all seriousness, that's why I made the point earlier that there are good pastors.
Yes.
There are
great
decent
churches.
pastors. Pastor and church together. Just understand, because I don't want no confusion. Good church leaders and pastors in churches, decent pastors, church leaders in churches, and really bad ones. And okay ones. It ranges, okay? And sometimes that pastor gonna be fly. Sometimes that pastor gonna be a dude like Devin that's out in the street dealing, stopping people from carrying guns. He's that guy, right? And not everyone's going to be held to that standard of because you're the pastor of this church, that means you got to be out there intervening in street beef and shit and taking guns away from people and funding movies by yourself to open up a rec center. Okay, not everybody will be held to that standard. Some pastors are going to be very relatable and understandable, like I keep bringing up Pastor Keith Battle, right? Some are going to be Creflo Dollar. Some are going to understand everything you just said, Smooth, in a very cynical way and be like, yeah, this shit a business. At the end of the day, it's just another business that I could be an oil tycoon or I could run a church. And it's a good business to get in because it's tax exempt and people are going to hand me their money and I'm a good talker and I can convince them that their money is my money and they need to be up in here and I can perform. And some pastors will even take it even further and say, I'm going to perform a miracle on you if you pay me. So, yeah. It ranges, and that's why a lot of people have made the point that it's important to find a good church home, a church home you feel comfortable in. Okay, the reason why I don't feel anything, and I don't feel bad saying we're laughing at your pastor and we're laughing at you, because you chose that church home. Now, if I talk to the individual, I may find out that individual is being manipulated, to take it a step deeper. Some of these churches are like cults. And when we think about a cult, we only think about like barefoot people drinking Kool-Aid and living in squalor. Some cults, Scientology, a lot of people that are in Scientology are Hollywood people that are millionaires.
And it gets made fun of a lot also, by the way.
And that shit gets made fun of all the time. And they're it is an actual defined cult. Okay? So some of these mega churches, not Christianity, but some of these churches are cults. And I don't know if that goes on in other rebuttal of Scientology, but I don't know if that goes on in Islam and Judaism and Buddhism. I don't know. Okay. It's possible. But we know because we're Black Americans.
And maybe Druski doesn't know because he's a Black American.
That's why I say we understand the thing that's close to us. There's a Black church on every corner. Almost every corner. Again, some of them are very humble, like Paul mentioned. Pastor wears khakis and a polo. Some of them are cool. We don't care. I don't care if Keith Battle drives a nice car. He earned a nice car. He's done his thing. I keep bringing you up, Keith. I'm so sorry if you listen to this. I don't mean to use you as but name that decent pastor. I don't care about that, but I do care about people that are clearly manipulating, and what Druski is making fun of is people that are clear manipulators, and some of these people are even more problematic in their actual beliefs about people and women and other things that we didn't go there because he didn't necessarily go there. Okay.
Right.
But to answer your question, yes, if your church is using the money to build out and take care of people and all of that, then yeah, that's fine. You wearing a flashy suit, so what? You're doing the right thing with the money. It's an individual basis. We're mature enough to understand that, but I think we know who he was laughing at, and because you said it earlier.
Yeah,
We know
no,
who he's
definitely.
laughing at.
Definitely, definitely.
Right.
I just, sometimes I start to think like, I guess maybe I'm not as cynical as I used to be, about certain things. And sometimes things don't make sense to, to others, right?
Mhm.
Like somebody may say, Adam, y'all brought back, mainstream MSR so many different times. Like, why not just not doing it anymore?
Right.
But there could be a reason why you're doing it.
Hey, brother,
Right?
let me tell you real quick. I don't mean to cut you off because I feel where you're going. I just want to say this. When we had ISBC, when this show ISBC and In the Disconnect was all going on,
That was a
okay,
lot.
and there were people that put us on like a pedestal, okay. I never forget the Million Man March reunion, and this will be my last comment on this.
Yeah.
The Million Man March reunion. This is when we were bringing the show back. We had been off for like a few months, and it was a big thing. And I remember I recorded like a little mini documentary at the jump and all that, and blah blah blah.
Okay, yeah.
And I might be conflated two issues, but I remember a person that was in ISBC was mad at me because I wasn't like speaking out enough at the jump. And then there was another situation. This is why I said I'm conflated two issues. It was another thing where something had happened. Some happened in like like in some social, something happened to like black person. I can't remember. So long ago. It was like 2013. And there was like it was like an offshoot women's version of ISB. So like a women's only group to all the people at home. These are Facebook groups we used to have back in the day.
Yeah.
That were very popular. And in the women's group, they were talking big shit about me because one of the women felt like I don't stand up enough for the community, and who am I, and why do people listen? And my thing was, and people at home gonna be like, who the fuck is this nigga? Why would anybody even want to? But at the time, the group was popular, and because I was the admin of the group, people just automatically put you in this spot. So I get it. Like people do that with their pastors too, or any leader of any situation. We podcasters right here, Paul has been put on the pedestal for many things. People have looked at Paul. I don't mean to speak for you, brother, but I know people have looked at Paul and been like, when you gonna save me, save us? When you got don't you got the advice? Don't you got because he's a person that speaks on the mic.
Right.
And he's respected, right? So anybody that is in a position of leadership is not a spot to envy, to be honest with you. People do look at you and create their own narrative for you, and that happens with pastors in all fairness, and it happens with churches. People had a bad experience once at the church, and they throw the church in the clump of this is just another bullshit church. But I think my last word on this. We know who he was making fun of.
Right.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, and that's important. Like that's important. It like there's, in my personal opinion, there's nothing on this earth that a light can't be shined on. And just in my own, like if God has given us the ability to think, why should I think and be limited to anything? Like that's what the ability was there for. So if we can continually critically process information, and I do think that, like, obviously certain things are a business, and church is an element of business, but that's not their business. Isn't the first part of what they're supposed to be doing. It isn't. Like, obviously we're smart enough to know that the lights have to be ran. We're smart enough to know that if you are a facility that has a school in it, obviously it needs to be funded, all of those things. But like I said, there's a way to go about it. And like I was talking about, like Pastor Bob at Woodstream, there is complete and total transparency with everyone. Like I'm talking about, you get your stuff for your taxes, you get all those things to eliminate the thought process of you having to go, man, are we getting had out this junk?
Right.
Am I because understand something, like when you bring up the thing that makes religion so dangerous is the fact that once people start talking about God, then they go, how can you refute? I'm talking about God. You understand what I'm saying? And think about, like, all that, like there are extremities on all ends in any and every religion that you can think of. You understand what I'm saying? There's extreme Islam, there's extreme, like we were talking about, Christian nationalism. Because God, like when you use the cloak of God, like people can understand that, and then even like Adam was talking about the thought process of a power in of a person in power, and the thought process of both popularity. Like some people view some of these like they treat it almost as if you're going to a concert or a club. Like and sometimes the thought process of loving and of being non-judgmental and of welcoming people goes out the door because you're thinking about business and being the CEO. I don't want my pastor to be a better CEO than the pastor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Let us know what you think in the comments about this and the Druski sketch. Yeah.
That shit is hilarious. Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to bring up before we get up out of here, just real quick. NFL playoff time. The NFL playoffs have been really, really dope and cool. One of the cooler stories of the season is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. They went toe-to-toe with the Buffalo Bills. Did not come out victorious, but for all of you all that don't follow the NFL, Jacksonville is a small market, and it's been a team that's been mostly bad, good every now and then, but mostly bad. They hired a coach over the offseason named Liam Cohen. He went viral for trying to say Duval, and it came out very funny. It was like Duval. It was like very funny. It was this white boy trying to say Duval, like trying to do it, and it was funny. So Liam Cohen is an interesting character, but he proved everybody wrong, and he had his team in it. They were one of the better teams in the league, and they gave a powerhouse a hell of a competition, but did not come out victorious. So everybody in Jacksonville was a little heartbroken, including the coach. And the coach came out, and he was a little choked up, and he was a little, sad because, again, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got an opportunity to do something that they rarely have an opportunity to do.
They thought they could redeem themselves.
He thought, he was down about it. So in the presser, a reporter named Lynn Jones decided to give him some love and grace. She told him, young man, keep your head up. You all did, I'm paraphrasing, you all did a hell of a job. You got nothing to feel bad about. You're going to be back in it next year. Keep your head up. And he responded by saying, thank you, ma'am. This sparked all sorts of controversy amongst the media world. I want to say something real quick. You all obviously could jump into this, but I just want to say something really fast. I understand. I've Smooth likes to call me a journalist. I suppose I am. I have certainly worked around journalists at this point half my life. I've met and worked with some of the best, most serious, straight out of a TV show investigative journalists you can imagine. And I've worked with sports journalists, and I understand the code. I understand the idea that you're supposed to just be reporting and delivering information, and that editorializing is almost sacrilege. I get it. Sometimes you may even hear me. So when we have KG on, we make it a point, and she makes it a point often. I am not editorializing. I am just giving you the information. This is what I know. This is what I don't know. And if I don't know it, I'm not going to say it. KG goes out of her way to say that every time we've had her on this show, and that's why we love her, because she's just giving us the straight, okay? So I understand it. But I gave this speech last week about rage culture and all of this, and I used a very funny example of, movies and all that, right? To me, this is the same thing. The world's different. And yeah, she stepped outside of the norm of what a reporter's supposed to do. I understand that. They're not supposed to be fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though you understand they probably are fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They write for the Jacksonville paper. They want the Jacksonville Jaguars to win because it's better business. And a lot of them that probably end up writing for the Jaguars local beat are probably people from Jacksonville. Okay? So I get it. I had no problem with this, man. In fact, I applaud it. I think it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it was very beautiful that this older black woman, speaking like your mama, Keep your head up, son. Listen, I think we need to hear things like that. And I'm so serious about this in 2026. And I'm going to be making this point a lot throughout the year, man. Shit is going to get down, dark, and ugly. We just did a whole conversation about depressed kids. Okay. Things are going to be, there are going to be a lot of stories that are going to fuck your head up. Someone that finds a little bit of joy, a Jacksonville Jaguar fan that got a little bit of joy out of this season and then was sad, the fan base needed to hear that. Yo, what you did this year was dope.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be happy. We Commander fans, we was in it last year. Trust me, we was feeling the same way last year. We was happy as hell to be winning them games.
Over the moon.
Long, okay? Paul wore Commander gear. Paul done wore nothing but Commander gear for a year straight.
Right.
He got his whole house decked out in Commander gear. If you go in Paul's house, the entire house got Commander shit all over. That's a fact.
And it's stolen.
And it's all stolen. It's all stolen that way.
Allegedly.
No, but just to wrap up my point, it's no way I can have a problem with her, though I understand why. But even if you do, I would just suggest if you're a curmudgeon reporter, and there's a reporter, I forget his name, he wrote the Tupac book. We were trying to get him on the show. Hopefully we can still get him on. He got caught up by Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes, because
quite a few people did.
Yeah, but this particular reporter, Matt Barnes, had went through his stuff and found out that most of his TikToks were like negative, and the dude owned up to it. He said, you know what? I do come from a negative space. I'm a reporter, and there's a lot of shit going on in the world, and my viewpoint, my lens is very negative right now. And Matt Barnes, I'm glad you called me out, and I love that. I love that, bro. So that's just my thoughts on that, man.
Like
y'all
that
say what y'all want to say before we get ready to get up out of here.
What I like about it is that, like, some of these people were questioning this woman's credentials, whether or not she was actually a journalist. And I like the fact that she went on several shows and went down the full gambit of her. Like, she's interviewed all sorts of people.
Yeah.
You know, for many, many years, like, just for the fact that she was showing grace to someone and showing someone like a little love and like, you know, a little pick 'em up, like everybody. I hated the fact that everyone was coming for her as a person and as a journalist, saying that she's unqualified, because she's very much qualified. She just chose to show someone grace and love.
Yeah, pretty much. Get ready to wrap this thing up, man. Appreciate y'all. We're back on Friday. Nargis will be on the show. Thank you, Brother Smooth, for joining us, man.
Absolute,
Brody.
Appreciate you, man. Listen, all of the stuff, man. If you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Please hit the notification bell, comment on the show, do all of those things. Thank you so much. The numbers are going up, man, and we really, really appreciate you. All right. If you're listening to us on podcasts, on all podcasting platforms, remember to rate and review the show and subscribe to the show. Follow us on TikTok, the MSR Pod. Follow us on Facebook, Milestone Radio. Follow us on Instagram, MSR Tribe. All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all, man. Again, back on Friday. Take care of yourselves, man. I'm Adam Butler. That's Paul Spann.
Blackman Spann.
In the building. Remember to be great. Free DC.
Elevate us.
We up out of here.
Yeah.
Peace.